With the release of Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 1, I thought, why not take the first episode of each season of Daredevil and rank them from worst opening to best opening, even though every episode is still perfect. And I'm going to do that because Daredevil is my favorite show. I want to talk about Daredevil as much as I can. So, I'm going to make this ranking. So we're going to do Season 1, Episode 1, Season 2, Episode 1, Season 3, Episode 1, Season 4, Episode 1, and Season 5, Episode 1. Seasons 4 and 5 are a.k.a. Daredevil Born Again Seasons 1 and 2. And I'm just going to be ranking them from what I think is the least perfect to what I think is the most perfect. And you're not going to agree with this list. I don't expect you to. And, I mean, the bottom two are kind of tied. And then the next two are also kind of tied. And then it's only, like, the first one that I'm like, that's the clear winner. So, yeah. But starting it off with what, for now, is my least favorite opening of a Daredevil season, while still being great, is Season 1, Episode 1, Into the Ring. Obviously, this is the first episode of the show. And, like, I love it for that. It introduces us to all these characters. You obviously get the, Matthew Murdock speech where he's, like, talking to the father, and he's like, they got the devil in him, and he's like, I'm not seeking penance for something I've done. I'm asking forgiveness for what I'm about to do. You get to see some cool action and everything. It's a great, awesome episode. I just think that all the other episodes are better in a way. And obviously, every other episode besides Season 4, Episode 1, like, you're already introduced to these characters. Season 4, Episode 1 is the only one that has to reintroduce you to them. And I think Into the Ring is great. And it sets up a bunch of good stuff. You've obviously got the ending where Matt's, like, hitting the punching bag, and it's just kind of showing all these other things that are going to happen. It sets up, like, the second episode, like, right away. It's a great, awesome episode that I love, and every time I watch it, I'm just like, I'm into watching Perfect for a while. But out of all the episodes, it's probably my least favorite. Next is Season 4, Episode 1, a.k.a. Daredevil Born Again, Season 1, Episode 1, Heaven's Half Hour. This is the one that starts off with such a great scene with Foggy and Karen and Matt walking out of Nelson Murdock and Paige, and they're just kind of talking, having fun. They go to Josie's, and it feels like classic Daredevil. And then crap hits the fan. Bullseye shows up, ends up shooting Foggy. There's a great action scene that might not look as good as some of the other ones, but it's just awesome for me because it's more comic book feeling. You've got Daredevil in the red suit, Bullseye in, like, the blue, almost comic book looking suit, and they're just fighting. And ultimately, at the end, Foggy ends up dying, and Matt almost breaks his no-kill rule and throws Bullseye off the building. And then obviously it skips a year later. You get introduced to Heather Glenn, you get introduced to Kristen McDuffie, you get introduced to Cherry, you get Bullseye's court case where he goes to jail, and Karen has her little scene before she leaves until episode 9 of that season. And then the rest of the episode is basically just like Matt kind of dealing with stuff. And then obviously there's Fisk becoming mayor. I really liked the episode. And like, I think that it and Season 1, Episode 1 are, like, on par. Like, the only thing that I have Heaven's Half Hour over Into the Ring for is that fight at the beginning and just those first, like, 16 minutes. Like, you get, like, these three characters that you've grown to love over the course of the first 3 seasons, and, like, they're just hanging out, and then you get that fight sequence, which I really like. And I think that edges it out just a bit over Into the Ring, but, I mean, they're still almost tied. So, I can get why someone would have Season 1, Episode 1 over Heaven's Half Hour, especially since it's more Daredevil and it's got those character stuff a little bit more. But I do think Heaven's Half Hour for me is a little bit over it. These next two are ones that I will give a ranking, but I have no idea which one I like more. They're, like, so close together. Like, I really don't know which one. But for now, looking them over, in third place as of right now is Season 5, Episode 1, The Northern Star, the newest addition to the Daredevil universe, Daredevil Born Again, Episode 1 of Season 2. This was a phenomenal episode. It started the season off really good. The action was really fun. It sets up the arcs and the characters for Season 2 in a great way. You get Matthew Lillard, who I thought was great. You get Christian McDuffie and Cherry getting reintroduced. Daniel, who I hate. BB Urich. Karen, obviously, is like full-on back in the show. You get Daredevil, and that fight scene at the beginning with the boat is amazing. And the fight scene at the end is spectacular. That fight scene at the end is awesome. And so is the first one. Like, those two scenes, the only scenes where Daredevil's in the costume in this episode, are my favorite scenes. For a good reason. They're awesome, dude. I loved those scenes, and I think that everything in between was great. But that is kind of why I might have it a little bit lower than these next two, is just because I would have liked a little bit more Daredevil. Obviously, the show's called Daredevil. You have to have other character moments and these other characters and stuff. I get it. But for the opening of Season 5, aka Born Again Season 2, for the opening of that, it's the first episode that we get since Season 1 last year. It's the first episode where they're, like, got control from the start. I expected them to come out with a little bit more Daredevil in it, and then maybe in the next couple episodes pull back on him a little bit. And that's a little bit why I hold it back. But I can't fault it, especially since if we get a lot of Daredevil in the next episodes, which I think we will, that's fine. But for now, that's why I have it right in the middle. There's 2 behind it. There's 2 in front of it. It's in the middle. Season 5, Episode 1. So that leaves the Season 2 and Season 3 openers. In second place is Season 2, Episode 1, Bang. This episode was really good. Obviously, Daredevil has the red costume from the start. And the red costume is good. I forgot to mention this in the last episode, Season 5, Episode 1. That suit, the new suit, the black suit with the double Ds, best suit that he's ever had. Continuing. Season 2, Episode 1, I think it's really good. And obviously, when it reintroduces you to these characters after Season 1, where are they now? You got Matt just doing Daredevil things, Foggy and Karen. Karen doesn't know he's Daredevil, Foggy does, and that's kind of got, like, a bit of tension between them. And then you've got this whole other, like, plot line throughout the episode where all these, like, gangs and stuff are being taken out, and, like, everyone's just, like, it's an army, like, there's a bunch of them, there's gotta be, like, they're all coming after us and everything. And just the build-up to the end where Matt finds people on, like, meat hooks. He takes one down, he's like, are you okay? Where's the army? What's going on? And the guy's like, an army? It's just one guy. Where then you get the first scene with Frank. He's just walking into a hospital, and obviously Karen is there with Grotto, who was one of the Irish mob people who got away. I think it was Irish. But they're in the hospital, and then they have to run away from Punisher as he's shooting at them. And then as they're getting away, he gets to the roof with a sniper rifle, is about to kill Grotto, and then Daredevil shows up and starts fighting him. They have a cool, awesome fight to where at the end, Matt gets Punisher on the floor, but then he gets a gun from his ankle, points it at Matt's head, says bang. His only word in the episode, what the episode's named after. He shoots Matt in the helmet at a point where he knew it wouldn't kill him, but it would disorient him for a while. And that's how the episode ends. It was such a great way to start Season 2. Every time I see it, I'm just like, dude, it's so good. Season 2, I think, is really, really overhated. I love Season 2. And it just feels different than Born Again in like in good ways, I think, because Born Again is still obviously Season 4 and Season 5, but it feels like they it feels the way it should, where it's been a while, it changed, it feels different but the same. I like it. Season 2, Episode 1, bang, is just awesome. But my favorite opening episode so far of a Daredevil season, one that I feel is going to be a little bit hard to top, is Season 3, Episode 1, Resurrection. Obviously, this episode takes place after the Defenders, where Matt was fighting with Elektra, and then at the end, he kind of brings her back from being, like, evil, and they seemingly die together when the building gets blown up and falls on them. And then in season 3, episode 1, it shows that he survived that, and that he kind of got brought to the church that he was raised at. You get Karen and Foggy kind of dealing with his death, where Foggy's a little bit more like trying to let go, and Karen's just like, oh yeah, he's not dead. There's no way. And then all the scenes with Matt at the church where, like, he is trying to, like, fix all the stuff that happened to him, where he can't hear as much, and he's really damaged from a building falling on him. You get Maggie in here, which you don't find out until way later in the season, but it's his mom. I thought that was really cool. You get a little bit of Daredevil at the end, where he's back in black, with, like, that cool, like, mask with the little white poking out, and then he's basically just in regular clothes. He saves a girl and her dad from these two guys, and then they're about to leave, and he's just like, wait, and he gives them a metal pole, and he's just like, God forgive me, and he's kind of like, do it. And then the cops show up, and the guys run off before they do anything. I think Nadim, you get introduced to in this episode. I really don't like that character, but he doesn't, like, ruin the season, especially since it's the only season he shows up, and I can deal with him. And then, obviously, you get Fisk, and it's cool seeing Fisk. But season 3, episode 1 is definitely my favorite opening episode so far. We'll see if season 6 can surpass it, or however many seasons we get. I hope it's a good chunk, because I love this show, and I will love every season that they release. I am so excited to see what else waits for Born Again season 2, aka season 5, what it has in store, if it can be my favorite season of the show or not. I don't know yet. But that is my ranking. In last place is season 1, episode 1, Into the Ring. In second is season 4, episode 1, Heaven's Half Hour. In third place is season 5, episode 1, The Northern Star. In second place is season 2, episode 1, Bang. And in first place is season 3, episode 1, Resurrection. In the comments, if you want, you can tell me what your ranking of all 5 episodes is, what you thought of The Northern Star, if what you're excited for in season 5, what you're hoping shows up in it, and all that. But until then, I will see you tomorrow, maybe, for, I think it's Nick and Mike and Alice, or it might be Mike and Nick and Alice. I don't know. But it's a new movie starring Jason Marsden. James Marsden, not Jason. James Marsden. So I'll see you for that. And then after that, I don't know if there's another movie or not releasing this weekend. If there is, there will be a review for that. And then I will see you next Wednesday for Born Again Season 2, Episode 2. And then Episode 3, because they're both releasing. So I'm excited for that. But I will see you then. And